Mike Rizzo good enough to join us to talk about the State of the Union for the defending World Series champions. Mike, thanks for the visit today. How you doing?
Good morning, fellas. I'm doing great, thanks.
Do we ask you about the rings? Can you give us any insight? I know that the ceremony isn't going to happen until you guys are at home. Is there any trickle of information as to what these things are going to look like?
Well, fortunately, I'm one of the persons that the few people that have seen the rings, and they're gorgeous, and they're going to be something that we're going to wear with pride, and it's something that's going to a lot of bling, and they're going to be beautiful.
Yes, a lot of bling.
Hey, Mike, you worked a number of years to get to the top of the mountaintop there in Washington. So, what's it like when you get there? Is it kind of like, well, I can't believe we're finally here, because the battle is also fun getting to the top?
Yeah, you know, the journey is always interesting. You know, it's something that we think about each and every year. You know, you strive at this time of year to be that World Series champion, and the route that we took to do it. You know, the character and integrity that this club had to you know, go all through the trials and tribulations that we had to deal with throughout the season, and to, you know, to get that last out and to become world champs. It's something that they'll never take away from us, and it's something that I couldn't be more proud of this franchise and this particular set of baseball players that worked so hard and you know, came together, and it was a feeling like I've never had in baseball before, and you know, once the euphoria of the parades and that type of thing were over, you know, we got back to work and you know, tried to put together another team that gives us a chance to win another one.
Now, this question might sound funny, so I have to preface it with this. A lot of times in our sport, the best team that you have doesn't always win. So I want to ask you this. Was this your best Washington Nationals team, or did you have other clubs you thought might have been better?
Well, we've put together a lot of good clubs over the last 8 years. We've probably been as good as anybody in the regular season in baseball as far as wins and losses, and we've had some extremely talented clubs. We've had some teams that were very youth oriented, but we've always had skillful, very tools oriented kind of clubs, and this was as good as any that we've had. Like I said, I think since 2012 we put together rosters that were capable of winning World Series, and we didn't. This group of guys with the mixture of veteran grinders that we had, and some you know run through the wall type of young guys, I thought it was a perfect mixture, and you know, we got a few bounces in the playoffs, and we you know, we kind of overcame a lot of different obstacles, and this team may not have been the most talented team we've had, but it was probably the toughest minded team that we ever had.
Boy, to Mike's point, second best record in all of baseball since 2012.
Oh, yeah.
So what a big few months for you, Mike, and we all had fun kind of watching the postseason unfold for the Nats. And on the occasion that the TV cameras found you in the stands or in a suite, you were wearing your red hoodie. I'm not even going to ask you if you're a superstitious guy, because I think we know the answer to that. But here's the question.
Sure.
Did you wear the red hoodie when you went to the altar this winter to get married? Was that what you had on?
No, I had to put a tux on for that, but the hoodie served me well throughout the playoffs, and it was something that kind of you know, superstitious or not, you're in baseball, and you're not going to mess with a streak, and when we went on that tear with the red hoodie on, I was kind of forced in my own mind to continue the tradition.
I think the marketing people owe you a debt of gratitude too, because I understand sales of that particular item spiked in October. Hey, I want to ask you this too about defending the World Series title here and retooling for 2020. It felt like all along that you guys were prepared for a scenario where Anthony Rendon chased a bigger number someplace else. And you bring in Starlin Castro, which was a really sneaky good below-the-radar move, a lot of us felt. Bring back Asdrubal Cabrera. Were you prepared for life without your big bat at third base?
Well, I think in this atmosphere of baseball and free agency, we have several contingency plans. Our priority was to sign both Strauss and Rendon. When those numbers didn't work out, then we certainly had to go to Plan B and C. And we have to be totally prepared to put a really good product on the field. That's the mantra of our ownership. They're here to win, and they want to win. They're very, very competitive, and so am I. And I think that once we figured out that the Rendon thing wasn't going to work out, then we had to go in a different direction. Now, you're never going to replace Anthony Rendon, either between the lines in the clubhouse or in the community. But we thought that we had some other good, viable alternatives, and I think that will be a team that'll be playing meaningful games in September and October, and gives ourselves a puncher's chance to win another world championship.
Hey, Mike, anybody who knows you and spends time with you knows you're a sharp baseball man. You love the game, but you get that from your father, Phil. And Phil passed away this February at age 90 after 50 years in baseball. I just want to ask you, I want to just let people recognize and understand who he was, the impact he had on you. And I'm curious, your conversations and your time with him through the years, what were some of the lessons he taught you?
Well, he would see a game differently than I ever saw it behind a plate when we were both scouting, and he would pick up these intricacies of players and these different sequences and that type of thing. So he had an ability that he could look into a game and see things that I couldn't see. So he kind of taught me those small nuances of the game. We all can run a stopwatch and a radar gun and that type of thing as evaluators, but it's looking deeper. It's looking at how they conduct themselves in between pitches. In the dugout. How do they combat with failure and success, and what different routes they take as a player. So he taught me. I always say that he's forgotten more about baseball than I'll ever know, and he is. He was the driving force to me to not only get into baseball years ago as a player, but also when my playing career was over, which was fairly soon, get into coaching and then scouting and then into the front office.
Well, he's going to be deeply missed. I know you miss him. We just appreciate and loved him. Anybody who spent time with him, I just wanted to get that out. So thank you for taking that time and talking about your father.
Yeah, thanks for sharing those memories, Mike. Thanks for the visit today. We can't say it enough to congratulate you on such a great 19, but you guys, I know, want to turn the page to 2020 just as much as we do. So go get them this year, man. Thanks for the chat today, Mike.